Las nuevas tecnologías disruptivas nos piden cuestionarnos la forma en cómo hacemos las cosas. Empresas como Spotify y Netflix apostaron a la accesibilidad inmediata de contenido, directamente desde el navegador web de cualquier dispositivo con acceso a Internet, distinto del proceso tradicional de descargar aplicaciones de reproductores y archivos. Hoy nos acompaña Arel Avellino para hablar de Passage 3D, una plataforma que integra experiencias virtuales como videoconferencias 3D, comercio de activos digitales y colaboración en línea en un metaverso accesible gratuitamente tan solo por un navegador web.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Cape Crypto from cryptomonedas.do. We're accompanied by Arel Avellino. He's from Passage, and we just want to have an awesome conversation about what Passage is. We know, like, we're big followers of the Strange Clan here in our community, so if you can share a little bit about your story with the community and all the work you guys are doing.
1000%. Yeah. So you mentioned Strange Clan.
Yep.
Basically, from the very beginning, Strange Clan was not even like a twinkle in our eye when we first got started, because we were actually not even crypto when we first got started. It was essentially just all about how do we solve this problem of everybody is trying to stay at home. We had the pandemic. We basically lost all social contact for a little while. And my brother at the time was doing a lot of event-oriented stuff.
Yep.
So they need to be able to solve, how do we have events in a setting where it has to be virtual?
Yeah.
Because everything that we had at that time, is you just had Zoom. Like your social contact was basically your best thing that you could get was Zoom. And I don't think anybody realized that was a problem until that was all they had. And they were like, nah, this isn't enough. So, my brother and I, we were both in two different companies at the time, but we got together and we started talking about this. And I remember essentially just sitting around a picnic table that's in his backyard and talking about, the struggles with essentially all events just disappearing. And that was at the time, 90% of his revenue. So we started talking about what does it look like to have virtual events? And pretty much everything that Passage is today, I could point back to specific things in that conversation that we were trying to envision. So, flash forward, some of the big things that I would say mark what Passage has become. It was originally all about how do we get virtual events, that were more immersive. And what I think it's become is, how do we get this dream of the metaverse? How do we get it so that the immersiveness is there, and the classic Cosmos interoperability is there, right? So we don't want to be the metaverse. We want to be essentially the facilitator of metaverses. We want to be a metaverse builder, and we want to be a connecting point for other metaverses. So if, tomorrow, 20 or 100 different metaverses launched on Cosmos, I'd be stoked, because basically what that means for us is we are now able to facilitate connection between all these different worlds. So some of the ways that we do that right now, we basically, metaverses are typically built in game engines. I would say most of them are built in game engines right now. And the only way that you can experience a game engine, most of the ways that you experience a game engine at this point is through, you have to download something, or they have to dumb down the game engine so much that you have basically a WebGL, which you can have in the browser.
Yeah.
So they either go in the WebGL camp, which looks like, really minimalistic graphics.
Like 8-bit, right? Like
8-bit,
Mario
pretty much. Yeah. I would say that N64 still rivals the graphics that WebGL is able to produce. So you either do that, or you have a download, but you have to be very careful, because if you make it too heavy, then there's a whole market of people who can't access it.
Totally.
And stuff like, for example, I use Spotify all the time. If I were to, the way I discovered Spotify is I clicked on a link and I opened up their web browser and then, or not their web browser, but their web application. And I experienced the benefits of Spotify and then I went and downloaded it, right? So I think that accessibility is incredibly important and web browsers are incredibly important for providing that accessibility. So the guys who have all made stuff, in the WebGL world, they're doing the right thing, I think. But the issue is that they're so limited by what's actually available. So we worked to solve that problem. We basically created, a cloud streaming communication backend that essentially allowed us to bring these amazing Unreal Engine level experiences, high fidelity. You have everything that is being touted. I mean, Unreal Engine's been getting a lot of publicity lately because they have some of the greatest, real-time graphics of any platform.
Totally.
And so how do you get that for the metaverse, right? Yeah. Because if the goal, and I honestly think that the whole concept of the metaverse really started to stem, I think it was accelerated greatly when we couldn't make contact with each other and everything had to be digital. If you want that to be an immersive experience and feel very much like how you interact with people in the real world, it does need to be way better than like that N64 level quality. So, basically we provide streaming so that any Unreal Engine application can be run in Passage. We can have other game engines. It's pretty easy to scale out from there. And then we've created communication software that essentially allows people to bring their video feeds in, and you can have your actual face in there. Yes, you can make avatars. That part's not actually all that complicated. And then you can also have spatialized audio so that and people actually totally look over this because audio is something that like you don't think about until it's bad.
Exactly.
So when you are in like a VR experience or when you're listening to music or you're watching a movie and it has spatialized audio, oh my gosh, it like totally changes the game with how you experience that. It feels like you're in the room. Because you can hear a person to your right, you can hear a person to your left. Oh, they're behind you. Oh, they're upstairs.
Yeah, it has to be a fully immersive experience. Like
1,000%. So a lot of what Passage is doing right now is essentially solving that problem. Then you brought up Strange Clan. So we discovered Cosmos through this massive problem that we had, which was you need to be able to have cloud compute to be able to do this kind of streaming. And at the time, AWS is really the only name of the game. Then we discovered Akash, and Akash opened up our eyes to
blew your mind.
This whole world of decentralized, assets of all kinds, but then also the fact that you could have tools like decentralized cloud compute. Oh my gosh, totally changed the game for us. So we viewed them as like, man, that's a real product coming up in the crypto space. And then what's this Cosmos thing? Like, is it a chain? Like you build on Cosmos, just like, Ethereum? Nah, man, like it suddenly opened up this whole wide world of possibilities within, Cosmos and within just the individual chains that we're building within the Cosmos ecosystem. So that's what brought us here. Strange Clan became our first like major release into Cosmos because we were like, look, we need to have an IP that we launch that kind of leads the way. If we're Xbox, we need our Halo, right? So we needed something to launch with, and Strange Clan was that thing. And it helped us prove out a lot of different concepts. So it's been a long process. We launched back in October of 2021, and the community has been incredibly patient as we've gone through the long process of essentially developing two different games. And one of those games is going to be coming out early in 2023. The second game, and this is the main thing that everybody's been waiting for, a playable level of that game will be coming out at the same time.
Wow.
Which is going to be really awesome. I know later you're going to ask me about the alpha thing. I actually know a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
That's my alpha. That's my alpha. I'll come back to that one.
Absolutely.
That's my alpha.
Absolutely. I mean, like we've been like big supporters of Strange Clan. I think we were talking about it earlier that pretty much every single member in our community holds the Strange Clan, and we were like pretty much connecting because a member of our community actually did some of your artwork, but like in a physical format. And I was telling you before, like I was on the brink of like crying because it was like amazing to see your interaction with a member of the community and just recognizing the amazing work that she was doing. And
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just,
and so your community is very much like a family, and something that I think has permeated into the Strange Clan community in general is this this feeling of wanting to create a family around us. You know, I told you earlier that I come from an Italian background. Like family is incredibly important, and so communities that can create that. I mean, it's very meaningful for me personally. But then I also think that the benefit that happens to that community, man, there's just so much support.
Totally.
There's so much ability to, get out of your own head and grow and kind of move beyond your circumstance. It's an incredible tool. And I think what you guys are building is phenomenal. So yeah, her work is great. Like I was really excited to see it.
It's insane. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like just the quality of the artwork. And
right. And I think I was telling you earlier that like when somebody does something that's derivative of your work, oh my gosh, it's so meaningful. I come from the film space. And in the film space, it's incredibly hard to get anybody at all to care about your work. You think that filmmakers like, pull in all this attention because everyone thinks about Hollywood. But when you're actually in the space and you're an indie filmmaker, that's just not true. Like you are working very, very hard to get your stuff seen. And even Hollywood now has trouble getting their stuff seen. Yeah. So the fact that someone took time and energy and effort to create a piece of work that's like off of something that we've put so much time and energy into, it's like, it actually is like extremely humbling.
It's interesting because I was listening to this podcast the other day from Charlie Shrem from Untold Stories, and he was actually talking about his experience in the Cannes Film Festival. Yeah. And he was talking about how hard it is for independent like filmmakers and producers to actually like have impact because it's dominated by a couple of players. Yeah. Like
fun fact. Yeah. I think Charlie Shrem's wife is an actress.
Yeah, she is.
Yep. And Tom, man, I'm totally blanking on his last name. But the guy who's producing the film that she's in, I actually know him.
Oh, really?
Funny enough. Yeah. He and I actually did a podcast together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, so I interviewed him in a podcast when I was a filmmaker, trying to learn how to make a living making films. Yeah. And he was the guy. Oh man, it almost came to me. It was like right there on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, so yeah, Tom something.
Tom something. Yeah, well, thank you, Tom something for.
Yeah, no, you're legit. Well, it's crazy to see him in the crypto space because now he's buddies with Charlie Shrem. Yeah, and he's starting to look at crypto opportunities. I think artists need to take advantage of crypto because it's an amazing resource. I think for pulling communities together, and if like films are definitely a creator of intellectual property. Yep. That's extremely important for communities. Yep. So having community essentially be materialized in crypto, having something very tangible that helps kind of like drive that community while also pairing it with like really strong intellectual property, like what you get with films. There's so much there to explore. I'm really excited for kind of like this next generation of creators.
No, absolutely. Like I think there's a lot of people that don't understand the potential of like NFTs when applied in that way. And like there's a ton of artists that could really benefit from adopting all this technology.
1,000%.
You were talking about like family, and obviously we're in Cosmoverse. So how has that experience been for you? Like how have you felt the Cosmoverse love?
Right. I mean, so if you look at other communities, and I've been a part of like conversations with other communities, it just doesn't feel like there's any community out there that is incentivized to collaborate the way that Cosmos is. And so there is this feeling of family because I see people at events. I'll see them at events multiple times. Yeah. There's several guys who I had seen at several of the decentral events who I saw here, and to like shake hands with people that you've had like these only online interactions with for so long, but then also to have this sort of spirit in the background of you're building something, and the fact that you're making this thing means that you're essentially increasing my ability to possibly move into that space too. Yeah. Because you are making the infrastructure that might be necessary for the thing that I have to make that then like comes after that, right? Totally. So everything that everybody's doing has a network effect that I think it's hard to, I mean, I think to some degree, maybe you could not have like a family dynamic with that. Like maybe you could have more utilitarian relationship. Yep. But I think in general, the spirit of the Cosmos community is one where everybody kind of has a family mindset. You know,
Totally.
we're all sharing a lot of the same problems.
Totally.
We're all, taking a massive risk, sort of exploring this wild, wild west. But we're also all just a little bit crazy. And so
Every single one of us.
we love all those problems.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's all problem solving, and just like, I think it was like you mentioned like collaboration. So we talked to Cryptocito one time, and he was all about like, he quoted this guy, I can't remember the name right now, but he was saying that we should out collaborate the competition.
Out collaborate.
And I think that's a fundamental aspect of the entire Cosmos ecosystem. And I know that you said that you pretty much shared a bunch, but like I would just like to end up on a high note. Like, what's the deal with Passage? What are you guys working on?
Yeah, so right now we're closing out a strategic round, and the coin launch is like heavy on our mind. Yeah. So very soon, we're gonna be launching the coin publicly. Where we launch it is still being determined. So that announcement is like right around the corner. I would say some of the more exciting things though are one, nostalgia. I don't know how many of you guys are tracking nostalgia, but we came from the background of virtual events, and nostalgia is probably the epitome of what we designed all of this stuff for. It's a virtual music festival. Wow. It's pulling in dynamic martial arts with incredible rap artists, some pretty big names, Corey Guns, Mickey Fax. There's some other really big guys. We have RZA from Wu-Tang Clan, who's going to be there. We've got some other really large names, all of which are extremely exciting. And I believe the ticket launch of that is probably going to be in the next 45-ish days. Anywhere from next month to 2 months. So really excited about that, because again, I've met with all the teams that are going to be, the artists and contributors to that. And they're all just amazing people. They also have that family mindset. The Marshall Club guys, we spent, last week I spent like a whole week with them, essentially pulling together choreography. One of the guys who was participating in that choreography was a guy who we brought in. He got hurt, and he like hurt his back or whatever. And like everybody just like came around this guy and like taking care of him. Like there was just this real like family dynamic. So even like the things that are unexpected, you start to get a sense of how really you are like a family or not when unexpected things happen. That was an extremely unexpected thing. And I think that the family dynamic should, and I think it's going to show in the actual show itself. I'm extremely excited about it. Again, I think that there's going to be digital tickets, and then there's going to be NFT tickets. Okay. And I think the NFT tickets are going to have some really amazing benefits that people in the Cosmos community, I think, will get excited about. But I also think it's one of like the first applications of like real, true entertainment coming into crypto. Anyway, I'm extremely excited about that. So that's some of the big stuff. And then on the Strange Clan side of things, we have those two major projects that are coming out. Chihuahuaverse is coming out ahead of that, which is a major, major game under development. It's basically a collection of mini games in the Chihuahua community. Yeah. We're gonna get to see how this impacts the token. We're gonna get to see how potentially some of these tokenomics could really help drive a community around a game. And then we're gonna bring a lot of that learning into the release of the Strange Clan Prologue, which is going to be the first complete game in the Strange Clan series. Yeah. And then we're going to have the MARPG Strange Clan, and we'll have that one playable level, which is going to be really exciting because that's going to be a game that's like a continual process. Maybe we'll continue to release levels, as they come out, and sort of like continue to give people a taste and feel of it. But from what I've seen, from what they're building, there's nothing like it right now. I don't think there's anything like it right now in all of crypto around gaming. No. Hands down.
No, absolutely. Yep. No, I mean, this has been amazing to have this conversation with you. I know that everyone in the community will appreciate you doing something with the Wawa community, because like it was I think it was an hour ago that Chango was telling the awards being a joke, and we're like, Wawa. And like, so
Yeah,
amazing.
you know, meme coins, it's hard because
Totally.
you know, it's almost inevitable that inflation starts to
Absolutely.
chew away your
Yeah.
value. But you know, if you develop a really, really strong community and you start to have utility come around it,
Yeah.
I think that what their
Totally.
goal is and their aim is actually incredibly virtuous. I'm like
Yeah.
really excited about what they're trying to do with that community. And honestly, as somebody who did come in early and got totally wracked by the price suddenly
Absolutely,
dropping,
right? Absolutely.
I love those guys. I
Hey,
think
man,
those guys
like,
are awesome.
fist bump, like, I can share the pain. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
1,000%. So I'm really excited about what they're doing. I'm like personally invested in. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and how can people find out more about Passage?
Yeah,
And,
so obviously Twitter,
Yeah.
main area where we're doing a lot of announcements. There was a really big announcement today.
Yeah.
So this isn't really alpha because it got launched, but we just brought on a new CEO. Lex is still deeply a part of the project. He's become more a part of being closer to the product itself and becoming an advocate as well on the brand side. But he wanted to have somebody come in who could bring his level of experience. This is the former COO of Engine, Caleb Applegate.
Yeah.
Phenomenal guy. A Forbes article just got dropped on him, where he actually got to talk a little bit about Passage because we had already swiped him by that point. And so he's bringing a lot of cool stuff to the Passage team and also his wealth of experience. So I'm really excited about what this means actually for Cosmos as a whole, because the types of people that I think he's going to start to attract in.
Absolutely.
Everybody who he was connected with before, they were getting excited about Polkadot. And then we pulled him in and now they're looking at Cosmos.
Oh yeah, all the Polka shit.
Now they're looking at Cosmos.
Yeah.
And so the types of other coin communities that we can begin to bring in from somebody who is very, very well respected in those other communities. I mean, Engine was like the OG NFT dominator from the early Ethereum days, solving some of the big main problems from those early days. So I'm incredibly excited about what that means for Cosmos as a whole, and especially NFTs and metaverse communities in Cosmos.
Absolutely. Well, Arel, thank you so much again for an awesome conversation.
Yeah, man.
And dude, we'll stay in touch. We'll do some more work together and follow criptomonedas.de just for amazing content, amazing alpha. And yeah, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Spotify. You can follow us on YouTube. And yeah, just stay tuned for amazing content.
Yep. @Passage3D on Twitter.